Welcome to part 3 of my video series on workshop techniques. This short video covers silver soldering union cones onto copper tube. I make up a lot of tubes for various STEAM projects, so I thought I'd put together a workshop techniques video on the techniques I use. This AI voiceover uses the American pronunciation of soldering. I use a tube cutter to cut copper tube. This flares the ID of the tube over, so the first step I take is to deburr the tube with a deburring tool. To effectively silver solder components together, both surfaces have to be very clean. This clip shows me cleaning the end of the tube with a Scotch-Brite pad. This blurry clip shows me putting a coat of flux onto the end of the tube. Flux removes oxides from the surface of the tube and allows the solder to flow. I then slide the union cone onto the tube, clean off any excess flux and position the tube in my silver soldering area. I use scrap metal and fire bricks to support the tube so that it's roughly vertical. This will make the solder flow downwards between the cone and the tube wall. I then heat the cone with a torch. At first, the water in the flux paste boils off, leaving a white coating on the tube. As the cone heats to a dull red, the dried flux takes on a watery appearance. At that point, I dab the silver solder onto the joint and it flows around it. This photo shows the union cone soldered onto the end of the copper tube. If any solder flows onto the cone during soldering, it can easily be cleaned off later to ensure the union nut will fit over the cone. When making pipes that have union cones on each end, it's important to make sure nuts are slid over the tube before silver soldering the second cone onto the tube. It's also important to ensure the nuts are oriented correctly. The nuts need to be back to back with the threads pointing towards the cones. It's an easy mistake to make and forget to put the nuts on the tube or orient them the wrong way. When silver soldering union cones onto small bore tube, it's easy to apply too much solder and block the tube completely. When this happens, starting again or drilling out the blockage are the only options. To avoid solder blocking the tube, I coat the end of the tube with whiteout. This stops the solder running over the end of the tube. I have heard that pencil also works to block the flow of solder. The pipe I made in this video is for a steam plant I'm currently working on. This photo shows the pipe mounted between the condenser oil trap and the boiler chimney. I'll put a link to the playlist for building this steam plant below. So, that's the video on soldering union cones complete. I hope you can use the techniques shown in your model engineering projects. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe to support my channel. Thank you.